Hey guys, what's up? Stock Retail coming back to you. Hopefully, you're having a great Sunday. Hopefully, you're staying cool and, well, hopefully, you're staying cool in a movie theater. Let's go AMC. Want to talk today about the Q3 box office and the earnings outlook, give you guys my point of view of where we're going to land. Got a little more than a month to go, and I just know you're going to be getting trolled a bit. So I want to show you where we're at, where we're going. Hopefully, like I said, you're all staying cool. We had a heat wave out here in Oregon, so the last few days we've been trying to stay cool. Thankfully, my air conditioning is working, but also we went in the backyard and got the sprinklers going, had some popsicles and stuff. So wherever you are, hope you're staying cool too. And let's just kind of talk through the Q3 box office and AMC's earnings. All right, let's hopefully you're ready for this on a Sunday. Do some numbers. Before I do, one of the things that you need to know about the box office and what I'm going to show you is where we are, kind of where we're going, and then where that fits historically for us, which actually is some very good news. And let's be honest, Adam shared in the earnings call that there's some softness in the quarter. Shills are going to try to jump on that. I've seen some of them already trying to spin negativity, and it's a little silly. So one of the things I want you guys to kind of, I like saying facts over FUD on my channel, is to make sure you're reminding yourself, listen, every year, the end of August in America, kids go back to school. And so it tends to be a slower time at the box office. I think it's probably something Hollywood and the exhibitors can still solve. Certainly, I'm about to show you actually one of the solves a little bit. And I do think, like I said before, if you look at the big blockbusters of the summer, the biggest four movies got stacked within 5 weekends. I think they could have spread those out, probably given them a little more love. One of the great things, though, if you follow me on X, you saw this morning, I said, hey, now that it is slowing down, some of those, so Superman, Fantastic Four, even F1 still, Jurassic, they're showing a lot of legs. So is Naked Gun, Freakier Friday. Gosh, there's something else I need to give some love to, and I'm forgetting. I'm sorry, guys. Weapons. Weapons, all these movies are showing a lot of legs because there's not big blockbusters kind of gobbling up all the screens. So if there's a silver lining, that's it. And as they've shown those stronger legs in a few movies that I'm about to show you, that are coming out. What's actually happened is for a minute there, we were kind of tracking maybe below my coming into the quarter box office forecast. We're all the way back to my initial forecast. In fact, right now, I'm going to tell you by the end of this video what my Q3 box office forecast is, but it's tracking like almost to the penny to my pre-quarter forecast. So we're just right there. Things are looking good. And that should also tell you, if we're tracking where I thought we would be, then there's just no freak out factor for me. And again, I'm going to show you historically how it's pretty good. Speaking of which, pretty good. You know what? Let me not jump ahead. Why don't I just show you? So here at the end of August through September, a list of what's coming. And I think you're going to see like, oh, wow, actually, even though people are talking about it being soft, being quiet, there's still a lot going on. So I'm going to fly through these. So just, I don't know, put me on slower pace or something if you really want to hear these. But here are all the movies kind of coming out in basically the next like 5-ish weeks. So we've got The Roses, we've got the Jaws 50th anniversary re-release, we've got The Strangers Chapter 2, we've got Downton Abbey, the final chapter, we've got The Toxic Avenger, we've got Conjuring Last Rites, or basically Conjuring 4, we've got the Toy Story re-release, we've got The Long Walk by Stephen King, we've got A Big Bold Beautiful Journey, we've got Caught Stealing, Hamilton is coming to the big screen. Not to be confused, by the way, I've seen that is, I believe, just a recording of the Broadway play itself. It's not a screen adaptation, but that is going to be on the big screen. One Battle After Another with Leo and Sean Penn. We've got the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy re-releasing for a few days in September and then again in October. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles re-releasing for its anniversary. We've got Him, which I believe is Jordan Poole. Don't jump on me if I'm wrong. I think that is Jordan Poole. So that's a big one. We've got Gabby's Dollhouse coming out. I've never seen that. Neither of my kids. They kind of were old enough. We missed that. I don't know if I should be thankful I missed it or what. You guys tell me. But we got Gabby's Dollhouse coming out this quarter. This is where I was saying I didn't want to jump ahead on myself. Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle. Boy, that one is looking real big. The pre-sales are making that look like it may even almost be a blockbuster. Even in the States here. It's been crushing it in Korea and Japan. I think in Korea setting some all-time records or something really big. I've seen some headlines. And so the pre-sales even in here in the US are making it look like it could be anywhere from like a 25 to even a $40 million opening weekend. Let's say 25 to 30 is probably realistic. But that is not small in terms of an opening weekend in the US. So that is looking big. We've got, don't sleep on obviously Batman. We get Batman and Batman Returns, the OG films from when I was a kid. You can see here is an ad for Dolby at AMC. That's getting re-released. So you just hear how many things I rattled off. People are kind of talking about the box office being quiet. Well, okay, we don't have, a Marvel movie or a DC movie or something, but we have a lot going on. And this is not even all the movies. There are others. And so there's plenty for everyone to see. And I've got some pretty realistic forecasts against these based on the industry. And so based on all that and what we've already delivered, in July and the, better half of August, here are the numbers. We'll just jump right to it. So the box office, I think we're going to be 2.1 to 2.25 billion at the domestic box office. My current sort of live forecast is 2.2. 2.2 was like exactly what I had coming into the quarter. So I've never been this far into the quarter where I'm just literally sitting flat on my initial forecast. Usually we're a little up, a little down. We've just kind of had a mix of some hits, outdoing my forecast, and a few things maybe underperforming my forecast. Certainly Weapons has beat my forecast, so that's been a fun one. If we land at that 2.2 billion domestic box office, if you followed me a while, I guess I'm saying this more for the new followers. I've been forecasting AMC's earnings for a long time. You can kind of take the domestic box office and then pull out. I guess what I'm getting at is I do a very deep level of forecasting. Every line in the profit, I call it the P&L, the profit and loss statement. Many people would normally call that the income statement. But so I go through a very deep level of detail, but I'm just pulling up to make this video quick and just tell you that I think that lands us around 1.2 billion for AMC's revenue. Just to give you a little bit of sizing on that, the quarter we just finished that was positive cash flows, that is under. So that is about $190 million less in revenue for AMC. But we're going to talk about, again, historically where that is and why that's just not so bad. And so AMC's cash flow, I think that probably means slightly negative. Not too sure. The guys could move some things around. It could depend on the timing of some investments, the timing of certain expenses, if there's anything under their control. I will say our accounts payable was a little high leaving Q2, so there will be some bills they've got to pay. So I would not be surprised if we have a little bit of negative cash flow this quarter. But remember what I said and what Adam and Sean said for many months now is the entire last 9 months combined would be positive cash flows. I still stand by that. I still believe that, especially on the strength of Q4. So if we finished Q2 was positive cash flows. July was definitely positive cash flows. We had all those blockbusters, like I said. So that starts us out in Q3 much better. And think through, I'm showing you here on the screen, we came into this quarter with over $700 million of current assets. So if you take our cash and our restricted cash and our accounts receivable, that we had over $700 million in current assets. Then, like I'm saying, July would have been positive cash flow, so you're something a little above that. Remember that we brought in some cash in the kind of refinance deal as well. So we should be sitting pretty. I have zero concerns in terms of cash, liquidity, solvency, whatever you want to look at there. And so we're doing great. And I'm only saying probably slightly negative cash flows. Nothing that's even going to be worth spinning on. But that the trolls are going to come spin you, so I like to be out in front of that and make sure you know. Just going to take a quick drink on my side. 1 second. All right, we're back to the ginger ale today, if anyone's curious. Still the afternoon on my time. All right, so the bottom line, I think that's probably a negative 60 to a negative $100 million. Now remember, that includes non-cash expenses. I'm not talking about EBITDA. I'm talking about the bottom line, net income. That even includes taxes. It includes depreciation and amortization. It includes the non-cash expense with NCMI, our advertising, and all of that. So to be at that level, by the way, historically, now remember like Q1 was pretty rough. We had a rough Q1. I think we were, minus 200 plus. So this is far, far better than that. And, if we take out all the non-cash expenses, that's why I'm saying I don't think our cash flows will be all that bad. We will see the timing of some bills and things, like I said. So here's some things we're still going to have to look at that could just tweak my numbers. here's some watch items, let's say, through the quarter. So we know that we've got the advertisements. Remember that AMC added, I don't know, like two commercials or a few commercials to the preview time. And then there was some FUD on that, and we cleared up the FUD. If you didn't watch my earnings recap video, the one the same day as the earnings, so the recap of the earnings call, not the recap of the earnings numbers, you could see that. That was a live. If you look at kind of my last live, we talked through that and kind of dispelled the FUD on that, which Adam had shared in the call. He was dispelling the FUD. I was just repeating him. But he did say our advertisements will be in the tens of millions of dollars that it will contribute to AMC every year. So tens of millions, what does that mean to you? I mean, let's say that's maybe, I don't know, 20 to 30 million a year. So I counted on basically 30. I think I put about $7 million of advertisements in the quarter. So just so you know, in my numbers, in that revenue I just told you, the 1.21 billion, I put about $7 million of increased advertising that we didn't have before. We're going to find out from the team what the real number is, right? So I could be low, I could be too high. I think maybe there's upside to my number. Let's find out. So we need to see what's the impact of advertisements. Now, we need to see what's the impact of our 50% off Wednesdays and the fact that they've sort of rebranded Discount Tuesday as 50% off Tuesday, kind of making that more clear to the consumer. I'm going to think that maybe there's upside to my forecast, and here's why. I've had to take some assumptions on our ticket prices. That feeds obviously into the bottom line that I'm telling you. I've had to make assumptions about our attendance. Obviously, when people come, we know that they spend, last quarter, they spent almost $8 a person on food and beverage. So, if this drives even more attendance than maybe I forecast, perhaps we go up. On the other hand, what if the 50% off is heavy on the attendance and drives our overall ticket price down? That might impact my forecast. So there could be upside, there could be downside. We're going to have to find out what was the impact of our 50% off Wednesdays. I'm very hopeful that it's going to, I've gotten more conservative with my attendance forecasts. I'm hopeful that this could make us beat on attendance, which would make us beat my numbers, because people are spending money on merch and food and beverage when they come, even if they're coming at a discount on the ticket price. All right, then we need to see, well, what's the impact of all the PLF screens, the IMAX, the Dolby, the AMC Excel, all of the other enhancements like laser projectors, better seats. Perhaps that is driving some high ticket prices. Adam shared with us there was a weekend where we had the $14 a person one weekend. I think that was towards the end of July. Amazing to hear that. And so, that might be counteracting our 50% off Wednesdays. And if we have both, if we're driving attendance on Wednesdays and high prices on the weekends, I don't know, I might have found a secret sauce. Let's just see. I've already talked about attendance, so I'm kind of in the middle of the page here. I don't know, what direction do we go with our overall attendance on a $2.2 billion box office? What I've noticed, because we have obviously the Stubs membership, the lower the box office, kind of the higher the rate of attendance as almost a percent of the box office. Because there's some people, no matter how big the box office is, they're loyal. They're going to come to AMC. That's many of you guys. If you're A-listed, if you're Stubs Premier, whatever level you are, obviously we're pretty loyal to AMC. And then what you get is on the bigger box office, now you're kind of, I don't know, maybe drawing in a bigger audience and got a little less market share on that audience. So this being a lower box office than last quarter, maybe our overall attendance is a little better than what I'm forecasting. We're going to have to wait and see. I don't know what's the growth in merch, what's the growth in popcorn at grocery, maybe the AMC candy. We're going to have to find out on that. Then, of course, we had our $143 million debt to equity swap. That happened at the beginning of July. So we had $143 million less debt this quarter. I have forecasted what I think is the impact to our borrowing costs. That was in that bottom line I gave you a minute ago. So as I mentioned to the new followers, I'm forecasting every line in our income statement, our income and expense. Well, one of the expenses is borrowing costs. So I have forecast what I believe is the difference now that we had $143 million less debt. You're not paying interest on that. On the other hand, there was some refinancing that changed interest rates on some of the debt too. So, a little bit of guesswork on my part. We'll see, did I get that right? And then, of course, the Eminem Stands movie is not reported in the box office number, at least not yet to my knowledge. I'll have to double check that. What is the size of that? And that was only AMC. What was our, profit and loss on that? What were the expenses? Don't know. We're going to have to find out what the impact of that was. So all of this kind of goes into the soup of what's our bottom line for the quarter. Here's some things I just want to I told you I'd give you context. So I went back and looked every quarter since COVID. If you notice that all of 2020 and 2021, there were 8 quarters. We only once, in all those 8 quarters, only once did the US box office hit $2 billion. That was the Spider Man No Way Home quarter, which I've kind of talked about a couple times before. Then in 2022, only one more. So if you think about the first 12 quarters post COVID, in 12 quarters, we only hit a $2 billion box office twice, right? You just say that out loud, and I'm sitting here talking to you about a $2.2 billion box office. Then in 2023, we only did it twice, and then of course the strike came. Then last year in 2024, once we kind of started finally sneaking out of the strike, we did it twice again. So in, what is that? Let me think for a second. In 22 quarters or something, we've only done it 4, 5, 6 times. Well, no, more than that. Sorry. Give me a second. I'll come back to that. I'm reading my own slide while I do math. That's a little too much multitasking, maybe. But you see that in 2025 now, so if all of 2020 through 2024, okay, so those 5 years, that's 20 quarters, we only hit 2, 4, 5, 6 times that we hit $2 billion at the box office. Now in 2025, we are in a streak of 3 in a row. So Q2 that we just finished, Q3 that we're in now, I'm telling you will be above $2 billion at the box office. Q4 that's coming, which is going to be even a lot bigger. And so if in 20 quarters we only did it 6 times, and here now in 2025 we're doing it 3 in a row. So now in, let's call it 24 quarters, we'll have done it 9 times, but 3 of those 9 will be the final 3 quarters in a row here. So a third of all the times we've done it. So what you should just really be hearing is, for a while there, we were walking through the desert, right, through the wilderness, and getting a $2 billion quarter was hard to sniff. That was hard to come by. In fact, if you were to look at my forecasting spreadsheet, I keep track every quarter because this was the place we had come from, which was, for the rest of the quarter, how are we tracking and what would it take to hit $2 billion? So it used to be that $2 billion was this amazing number I had hoped we could hit in a quarter. Now we're about to have done it 3 times in a row. And what I want you to notice is this quarter at that 2.2 billion domestic box office, if we hit that, would be the 7th best of all these past 23 quarters. And here we are calling it soft, right? So it's beating 16 of the last 23 quarters, and we're calling this a soft quarter. And I love it. I love it. What I want you to hear is the optimism and the strength of how far we've come. If you go back to the end of 2021, when Spider-Man No Way Home helped us hit 2 billion, or go a couple quarters from that when Maverick helped us hit 2 billion. And back then, we were like dancing in the streets for hitting 2 billion. Now we're calling 2 billion soft, right? Think about how far we've come and how much stronger we are. And I hope that makes you a little bit FUD proof. And that's this bottom line here that I'm saying. The industry is leveling back up because we've moved our own goalposts. And in this case, I mean that in a positive way, that we have leveled up so much that now if we hit 2.2 billion at the domestic box office, we're calling that kind of a weaker or a softer quarter. That is showing you that this industry has been on the upswing, and we have some high expectations because it's going much better. And you watch Q4 and you watch 2026. So speaking of, coming soon, I'll do a Q4 forecast. That'll probably be my next video. I do believe we're going to see profits in Q4. Let's see how that shakes out. That does count on some movies being pretty big, but I mean, some of those are like Wicked 2, Zootopia 2, Avatar. These are, The Running Man, Predator, Tron. These are movies I think we can realistically expect are going to be big. There's a few others like Five Nights at Freddy's is out there, SpongeBob. We have a lot more larger movies in Q4, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And we get the holiday consumer as well. Often we even get a few surprise Christmas movies that I hadn't seen coming. So hopefully we're going to see just a lot going on in Q4. I'll do that forecast here pretty soon for you. Want to let, another week or 2 go by. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll even do it this week. We'll see. Anyway, the 2026 forecast, I'll share with you just an overall view of that. Once a year, I kind of do the deep dive on the year ahead. Maybe we're a little early. I often do that more like in November, but if you guys give me permission to tweak it, I can tell you for now what it's shaping up to look like, and then maybe we tweak that in November, December, something like that. just so you can have a sense of what's coming. And then, of course, I've got a few miscellaneous topics, some news topics kind of on my mind. And I suppose for those of you who don't only follow me for AMC, I'm still tracking Bitcoin, strategy, GameStop. There's a few things going on out there. That's kind of an understatement. And then, of course, that I believe we will win. So let's go.